All right. Good morning. Um, no topic today. Just kind of, I'm okay with discussing whatever comes to mind as I go through this. All I want is to facilitate bringing the experiences that are relevant to my viewers to them. Which, for me, the experience that's relevant for me is that I would like to do that for you, and I would like to bring love and appreciation to you. So I suppose I have one question, which is, what can you be thankful for? You're like, okay, well, that's too simple. Maybe it's simple, but it works. I think that really the greatest practice I've added to my life is telling myself how much I love and appreciate certain aspects. Even the things that I might struggle to say that I love, I'm practicing to say that I love. Like, what's one of the things we're not supposed to love? Well, two come to mind for me: power and money. But these things on their own, they're not inherently evil. They're not inherently anything. They just are. But I project my own meaning onto it. And that meaning, like that projection, comes from my experiences in my life. And I say, well, money doesn't bring happiness, which is, I do believe that. I think it facilitates your pursuit of happiness, um, which for me, if I had an incredible amount of money, and I am wealthy in many ways, but if I had exponentially more money than I do have, part of me doesn't know what I'd spend it on, but the other part of me knows I'd spend it on other people. And yes, there are a few desires I have that cost some money that I would definitely like spend some of that on. But I know that money is not, it's not evil, which is something that the world says. It's something that can be used for whatever purpose the user wants. So, ideally, I would use it for having some sort of impact on the world, developing some sort of program that I think would be beneficial to anyone, not just people in need. Maybe a person who feels content mostly with their life. Maybe that kind of program that I would develop would assist them. Um, the same could be said for power. I mean, like, power, people say power corrupts. I don't think so. I think that power allows you to mold the world in the way that you see fit. And if that's true, then it's going to reflect you as a person. And I give this example. I mean, the person who's worried about becoming an egoist will never become an egoist because they're already thinking unlike an egoist. Egotist, I don't know. Doesn't matter. You get what I'm saying. Also, this is kind of making me realize, like, that program, like, I don't need money or power to be able to start that. And I guess in a way, this has been me starting it. Like, this has been the beginning of the process of me creating something much, much larger than myself. This is already me seeking connection with other people that are like minded or are very different and want to provide input that will be formative for me. Um, but really, like, when we give ourselves a barrier that we must surpass to pursue a dream, it's almost like an excuse. Many people live in poverty or below, or like, I don't know, below average income, and they're told the only way for them to get rich is to, find some scheme or whatever. Scheme almost is the wrong word here. But really, I think that we can, in a similar way to that, it's the responsibility of each individual to find what way works best for them and what sort of life reflects what they really want to live. Like, I've come to the conclusion that there are, at this point in my life, I've come to appreciate a simple living much more than a grand idea of impacting the world. But part of me still really wants to impact the world. So, who am I kidding if not myself? But you kind of have to have these dialogues with yourself to realize what you do want. And that's why I really advocate for, like, for note taking or writing to yourself, or whatever. Just getting I think that getting your words out on a piece of paper is an incredibly underrated practice. Getting your thoughts out, because it reveals to you the way you're thinking, that might you might revisit what you've written at a different time, and you have a different perspective, and you're like, whoa, I can't believe I wrote that. I get, like, I can reflect and say, oh, that was the state of mind I was in, but now, coming from a different perspective, that looks like I was possessed by some sort of fear or some sort of idea that may have passed from my interest, which is also totally fine. Don't insist that your excitements stay exactly as they are. Sometimes an excitement is just that. It's just excitement to get you moving, get you going forward, so that you can realize a different dream or a different passion or a different path that you wouldn't have been open to before. Maybe it made you pursue a particular career. This is a good example for me, is like pursue a particular career just to find that it's not for you, but it actually gave you the skill set that is required for a different career in the future. That's an experience for you to go through that. And at the beginning you're nervous and you're excited, but you go in, you go to this job, and it's okay for a while, and then you're like, this is just not a perfect match, so you stop. And part of you like, okay, well, that was a waste of time. If you're worried about being productive with the time we have here, which is much more than you think, what you can appreciate it as much more than what society says it is, the time we have. But without that experience of all of those emotions that were tied into you working that job that didn't work out, and the time that went into it to gain those skills, you wouldn't even be able to conceptualize, well, maybe I should do this laterally adjacent or diagonally adjacent, like, job over here that is way more fulfilling to me. Like, that's the experience that I'm going through now. Like, I worked a job that wasn't meant for me, but it gave me the skill set that I needed to be able to do this. It also gave me the excitement. Yeah, I guess. Well, there is no central message today, but I really would advocate for you to write stuff down. Maybe revisit your life, kind of try to write down your life story if you think that's a great idea. Just reflect, say how much you appreciate things, in uh, thought and word, indeed. I guess, like, for me, thought, word, and deed is like, it's becoming something I think about. The thought, I appreciate this thing. The word, saying you appreciate it, because everything is energy, including our thoughts, and very much including our words. And then the deed of writing it down, or doing something out of the ordinary. Like, I went to the park the other day, and I'm like heading out. I finished like my reading and writing, and I'm heading out, and I'm like, I wish. I'm looking for an opportunity, really, to act out the deed part, thought, word, and deed. And I see this lady, and she's sitting there, at this bench and table, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's the deed right there. Maybe that me going up and talking to her for a second is the deed, and then part of me's like, like, why would you do that? Like, that might be annoying to them, or they don't really look that open, or whatever other excuse I want to provide myself. But then I grabbed hold of that. Like, I realized, like, this is the moment where my conditioning kicks in, and I don't do something new. So I realized that, and without knowing what I was going to talk about, I just walked right over there. I was like, all right, I had 10 seconds between walking, seeing that lady, thinking about all these things, and then I could have been going to my car and feeling good about my day, or I could go over to this lady and give myself this new experience and demonstrate my openness to new experiences. And I did just that. I went over and I talked to her, and it was the most awkward thing I've ever experienced in my life. But it was a new experience, and I don't regret doing it. And I get in my car and I'm driving home. My heart's racing, just racing. But that was an extremely important experience for me, because it demonstrated that I am open to new experiences. And I had the thoughts about it. I didn't really say the words. I've said words before along the lines of, I'm open to new experiences. but the deed was in the moment to actually be willing to act on it, and that's as important, if not the most important aspect of that trinity there: thought, word, and deed. So yeah, all that mind wandering aside, I love you. Take care.